Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of Keiser Voices. We're excited to bring to you one of our recent graduates who's going to introduce herself and provide a little bit about her background before we get into our actual conversation about finding purpose and impact through her career. So we're excited to have with us Andy Nascimento. Andy, thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me. Thank you so much. This is great. I'm so excited and nervous at the same time. But I feel like I'm grateful to share a little bit of my story and how I got to where I am now. So thank you for having me.
So before we get to the part of the story of where you're at now, which is really what we wanted to talk to you about, can you tell us what brought you to Keiser, what your major was, what you did while you were at Keiser?
Yes, absolutely. So I transferred from a junior college to Kaiser in 2020 during the COVID year. I was in Oklahoma and then I transitioned to Kaiser. And what brought me really, besides basketball, was also the fact that I needed a place where I had a beach because that's how my hometown is, and a lot of color, a lot of stuff to do. So besides basketball, that's what brought me to Kaiser. I graduated with my bachelor's in interdisciplinary studies with general studies, uh,
Mm.
and then while playing basketball. And then I did my master's in sports management, which I graduated last year, May.
So looking back at graduating, I'm sure like most graduates, as you were winding up to those final like weeks of your program, the concerns of what's next, where do I get started, what direction I'm looking in, where do I go from here, what do I do with this degree, were probably running like crazy through your head. How did you figure out what that next step looked like for you?
Man, look, as an international student, look, we go through it. Like we go through it. For
Mm.
us, that first year, right after we graduate, it's very important. Like it's you applied for the OPT and also finding a place where they would go through that process with you. They understand the process. They are willing to do whatever it takes to have you in their team with that process. So I would say it didn't take weeks. It took me, since I started the sports management program, 2 years.
Hmm.
It's to go through that motion to, having people that I can talk with about it. Hey, like, how can I go about this? Who can I talk with? And Professor Anthony, he was my pillar. How you say pillar? Like when somebody's like your
Pillar, yeah,
anchor.
yeah, yeah, your pillar.
Yeah, he was my anchor. Like Professor Anthony, he knew a lot of people. He put me in contact with so many people throughout the 2 years. He never left my corner. And he always said to me, Andy, don't worry, because whenever you graduate, you're gonna have a job. I said, okay. Mind you, that's a big promise. That's a big thing to say, especially like to an international student. But he didn't fail. And going through that process, I mean, got to April, I little little yes, little no, didn't have a job. So, but I didn't back down from it. He didn't back down from it. It took months to get the OPT, just because of other stuff that it's not on my control and nobody's control. And now I can say that I'm grateful that where I'm working now, they waited 6 months for me till I get everything else. Um, so but I think I'm going way over, but that's the process itself. It's not easy. Like you
Mm.
have to make sure, especially like being in the sports, everybody wants to work with it. And it's a big, big area, especially in the United States. But I feel like you just have to have the right people in your corner that it will help you, it will guide you. They won't just say, oh yeah, contact this person, then that's it. No, it's like going with you to that person, like introducing you to different programs like the Amplify programs.
Mm. How have you really discovered what really motivates you in this new position, in this career that you started for yourself?
Uh, so 2 points. If I've always been curious, like I always been a curious person, and I think that's what make me grow so much in my new career and even like in the past, because I always wanted to learn something new. Um, the first one is being curious and continuing to learn. The last thing I just did that I just learned was, mind you, I've been playing basketball my entire life, just so you guys know. And now I'm in the racket world, like a racket sports world, completely different, has nothing to do with basketball at all. So it's new to me. And it took me 2 weeks, 3 weeks to string a racket. So I just learned to string a racket, which my boss told me, Andy, that takes like at least 2 months to learn, and I was like, no, I want to learn. Like I want to know how to do it. So he he was very patient. He taught me, made some mistakes along the way. It's not easy. It's not easy. He takes 20 minutes, I take an hour. But that's about curious. Like I always want to learn something new, especially on this new world. And that's what it helps me grow. It helps our team grow, because then we are able to give the customer service for our members. That's like, oh yeah, you want this? Got it. You can come back and pick it up. We don't have to wait for the pros to do it, because most of the time they spend is on the courts. So, and the second one, it's how I've always been the go-to person, and being in a collaboration and mentorship. And I thrive in team environment. I'm a team player. I always been. Um, and life gravitated me towards that side too, because I was an RA for 5 years while I was at Keiser, and then played for 3 years, was a team captain for 3 years. So I was always the go-to person, and my fulfillment is how I was able to impact other people and help them and guide them, and I still do. And I was a GA, a graduate assistant coach for 2 years, and how I had to meet my coach halfway, meet the players. How can I help them? I've been through this. I know her. I know how you can, go through this process. So I think those are the two things that makes me, motivates me on my daily basis and gives me the fulfillment in my career.
Is there, so far, like you have such a great journey ahead of you, right? You're only at like the beginning line of your newest chapter, being an alumni from the institution. So I know there's still like a lot of stuff left out there yet for you to do, but is there any special achievements or projects that you've been working on that has really just kept you motivated, like that check, like, yeah, I'm on the path that I need to be on?
So for the project, I had when I was graduating for my bachelor's, I had to do a capstone. Um, and that capstone was very personal to me. I wasn't just gonna, just do something, just do a research. I think that I took that moment and I met with the professor. I'm like, look, I want to do this type of project, because I know this project is going with me for the rest of my path, going to be, this is how I'm going to be on my career. I can look back at this project and be like, yeah, I've been through it, and this is how I'm going to respond. Um, so yeah, the project was very personal to me, because while I was going through, college life and all that kind of stuff that you guys know, I went through a big um, anxiety phase. I had a lot of anxiety. I hit depression, and that affected me on the court and off the court relationships. And then I felt like I was like in a hole and I couldn't, come back up. And that was very personal. So, for I used myself on my capstone project because, I wanted to share that part of, because it's okay to struggle, and it's also how I, got through it. I mentioned in the it was a 30-minute, 45-minute capstone presentation.
Mhm.
Everybody started crying. I started crying. And it was very personal to me. I'm like, okay, I'm about to share this side that nobody really knows with professors, other people that have no idea who I am, but it's okay. I had to, because I had to get past that. So, I paid for a therapist. I did all I had to do. It took me 4.5 months to get past it. I remember my coach was on my side too. I had a lot of people that supported me through it, the people that actually knew. Um, so anyways, that was one of my biggest projects that nowadays, like when I hit a challenge or when I see that something is hard, I think about that moment that I shared, that I
Mhm.
experienced, and I'm like, no, it's okay, and then I get past it. Achievements. Achievement. I think what my achievement, like my biggest one, is how I mentioned before. It's the impact that I can have in another
Mhm.
person, even if it's just small, because I like to share my story with the people that I meet, especially with my new work now. Like, I have a really close relationships with my coworkers. They always The first thing they wanted to know was, oh my gosh, what is about Andy? Like, they wanted to know everything. So I share my story with them, and even the impact that the other person can feel with my story, even if they don't share it, but it's like, oh wow, like this person went through this. So I think those are the main two things that I can think of right now.
No, I mean, that's fantastic, and we appreciate you being so open and honest with us. Uh, when you look at like your long-term goals, how or what strategies have helped you to, keep the daily work, the daily comings and goings, the daily struggles, the wins, how has or what I'm sorry, what strategies have you used to just make sure that you're still online for those larger goals that you still have for yourself?
um so in the past, I was always a person that wanted to figure out what's next. Oh my gosh, what's
Mhm.
next? I want to see what, I was very like, oh, I want to, because of the OPT, because of that process. So so now I always try to stay connected to like my why. So why I'm here, why am I on this new, world, which is the racket sports. So I try to stay connected with that. And when I start feeling like overwhelmed, like, oh, like what do I want to do next? My OPT is about to expire. What can I do with it? Like when I feel that way, that it's very anxious to me, I think about myself when I was going through the anxiety episode, and I'm like, no, like I'm a different person. I talk with people now. Like, I open up. Hey, I'm going through this. Uh, how can you help me going through this? But of course, it has to be with the person that I trust.
Mhm.
And then we have that conversation, and throughout my years in college, and even after the experience that I had with the OPT, it was very anxious. It took months, and it was something completely out of my control. And I had to learn that I just have to be where my feet is, or where my foot are, proper English. And I had to learn that. Like, I just have to be present. I just have to be who I am and be where my foot is. My 2 feet. You know what I mean?
I got you. We got you.
Be where. where I'm supposed to be, like be present, because that's what things that I committed in the past that, made me go through the anxiety. I was trying to figure out what's next without enjoying what's in front of me. So I think that's a strategy that helps me on an everyday basis. And yeah.
What advice would you give to someone who's trying to find both impact and fulfillment in their career, whether they're coming up on graduation or maybe, they've been out of school for a while and really kind of reevaluating where they're at?
And I would say the key word for the process is just patience. Because, as we're graduating, we put a lot of pressure, in ourselves. And I did that, and I know people who have done it before, that we just stop enjoying what's in front of us. Like we put so much pressure, we want to know so much of, oh, like I have to get this, oh, I have to talk with this person, like so much pressure, and nobody has everything figured out, and not us that just graduating. Not no, like I think that's people that are graduating. You just now like getting the in the beginning of the process. Like you don't have anything figured out. You just went through college. You just graduated. But for people to understand that, and for me to understand that, it took, that hit of having to actually wait with that process. So I think it's just the key word is having a lot of patience. You have to go through the process. Like you can't just skip steps. Uh, don't put a lot of pressure, because that will take away of everything that you accomplished before. And the other thing I would say is that don't hide behind your emotions. Like talk about it, how you feel, because when you have those conversations, sometimes that's a connection that you need to have with, and the person will help you. You never know. You never know. Yeah.
That's amazing. Andy, thank you so much for taking the time to with us today and sharing your journey and your story and your experiences for our listeners. We really appreciate it.
Let me say one more thing,
Of
that
course.
I just to finish the advice and everything. I can also say that when you are yourself, like fully transparent, don't try to be anybody else but yourself, you always land where you're supposed to land, even if it's for a few months or just a year, or even if your PT is a 12 months. That when you are yourself, you basically like everybody knows you, everybody can meet you halfway. um and then it's more enjoy you have more enjoyment when you are like that, because you're not trying to be somebody that you're not, like that itself is a lot of pressure, and you don't
Mhm.
want to live with that pressure. Okay, that's it.
Yeah, thank you. We again, I mean, we truly appreciate you sharing this with people because you've, been living this journey so far and you've had your ups and downs. Everybody has ups and downs in their journey. So we appreciate you sharing this with us.
Thank you. Absolutely. I mean, this, I think what the opt and going through that process, it's what made me realize that, like, look, not everything is gonna go this way. You just have to have patience and wait, because we always try to control things that is doesn't depend on us. We did our part, right? We applied, we paid, we went through the process. That's our things that we could control. Government stuff, we don't. And that I had to learn, and I had to learn that the like tough way, because usually it took me 6 months to get my stuff. 6 months, when it usually takes like three, two and a
Mm.
half, depending. And the fact that they waited 6 months for me, it's just being who you are, like you transparent from the beginning.
And we all hope you guys have enjoyed our conversation today. And if you did, please be sure to like, share, subscribe, and follow. And we will catch you on the next one.